In this video, I want to talk to you about how to add a report in Access. You can see that what I've done right now is I've opened up the Margie's Pots and Pans Access tutorial, and we're going to be working with that database that's already set up. For me, I prefer to write reports by starting with a query. So I've already done a query and put together all of the information that I want in my report. And the reason I do that is I think that Access does a better job with their wizard for the queries than they do for the reports. Totally up to you on the way that you do it. If you have access to the Margie's Pots and Pans tutorial, about page 19 is where they talk about queries and how to make queries. And around page 30 is where they start talking about making a report. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to the select a query. And in this one here, I'm looking at query number 6. I'm going to go to create. I want to create a report. And immediately it generates a report for me based on all of the data that was in the query number 6. It gives me one view, and you can see the columns that are in here may make sense to me, may not make much sense to me. Pull that back across here. I can change the view by clicking, left clicking on the view, report view, print view, layout view, design view. In the design view, this is where I can start really beginning to make changes to this report so that I can pretty it up. Again, I do the bulk of the heavy lifting on what goes in the report by making a query. And then whenever I get to the report, that's whenever I can start making things pretty. Things like changing the name. So if I left click here, I can back out, change the name. I can also look in here and say, wait a second, I don't really need phone number. So if I left click on phone number, if I say that's not a field that I need, I can right click, delete it, just make it go away. Once I have freed up this space, you can see if I run the report, it's going to have a blank space in here now. So I can see that by going back over to Home, clicking on View, look at the report. See, I've got this weird blank space now over to the left. I also have an ID number that may not matter as much to me. So let's go back to my design view. I can look at my overall page at this point too and start thinking about the layout of the page. Most pages that I run reports on, I do them in portrait, which means if it's greater than 8.5 inches wide, which is the standard width of paper, I'm not going to be able to see that field. So right now, size and cost are not going to be on my page. So let's go ahead and, again, left click. I can take and just drag, resize as I need each one of these blocks, and you get the point. You move things around to where you are happy with where they look on your page. Last thing I want to talk to you about in here is what happens when you want to add a sum or whatever else. So there's already a sum on our current for. I'm going to get rid of that to show you how we can insert one just in case you don't have one somewhere. Let's go back to our layout view. And in the layout view, if I want to sum an item up, say I want to sum up cost. If I left click on any one of the costs, I can now from here, I can go back to my report layout view, and in the groups and totals, one of the options that I can put in here is I can add sums, averages, count the records, count the values, whatever it may be that I want to add in there. So in this one, I'm going to put a sum, and you're like, oh wow, I hope it just did something for me. Let's go back over to our design view, and you can see in the designed view what we have done is we have added a sum here. looks like this may be a problem with the size of this block whenever it put it in. Let's go back over to the home, take a view of our report view. Let's pull down to the bottom. And we can see that it did. It summed everything up, but you can't really see everything. Let's make it pretty by going back to the design view. On the design view, if I left click, drag, it'll open up to where I can see it better. It's kind of just hanging out there though. Nobody knows exactly what that means. In my report design view, if I go up here and hover over this button, you can see it pops up as a label. Left click it, and it will let me draw in here a text box. And so I'll just put in total sales. See if I like the way that looks now. Let's go back to view. Let's go to report view. And there we go. Total sales is this amount. Report view is going to really give you an idea of what things are going to look like on your page. You now know how you can go in and you can sum things up. You can go through all the different report views and everything else also in here and make your report prettier. Big keys are going to be built around the view that you are in, because the view that you are in changes the tools that you have available to you. You can go back to home at any point, change to the different views, and once you are finished, you can save it and you're ready to go. Hopefully this helped you on how to create your reports, to add a sum, add an average, or add another function.